when we understand the role here is to deliver the people from their sins, and sin is a breach of relationship. So when the prophecy was that he will be called Emmanuel, or El is with us, well, that's not possible, because what do we know that sin does? It separates us from him, right? It separates you from your Creator. So this is the path to restoration of the breach. Ooh, that's cool. Yeshua is the restoration path. He doesn't just restore it. He's the path to restoration. He makes it possible to make restoration. Those of you who claim you're covenanted and you're breaking and disobeying things that you never do, that you're supposed to do, stop claiming covenant. If you're breaking Sabbath every week or every month, stop claiming covenant. If you're not tithing, stop claiming covenant. If you're eating wrong, stop claiming covenant. If you're not keeping every single feast, not some of them, all of them, then you're not in covenant. Anything breaks covenant, any one of those things, right? You don't need to break a whole bunch of them to claim it. Well, I'm in covenant, kind of, sort of, whatever. No, you're either in or you're out. Okay? So just stop that. Oh, don't you tell me I'm not in covenant. I'm telling you, you're not in covenant. If you meet those criteria. So stop playing at this or trying to justify doing it your way. Because look, none of you are Frank Sinatra. You're not singing my way, okay? Because I came to seek what was lost. Now, I know this is hard, but see, I have a pen. Okay, this pen right here, and if I left it somewhere and I'm seeking what I lost, I'm seeking something that was mine to begin with. I had to pick a blue pen that blends into the background so you can't even see it. All right, okay? So Yeshua didn't see the church wants to define the lost as anybody not Christian, right? Do I have the definition wrong? Okay, that's it, right? No, Yeshua was talking about anybody of Israel or even children of Abraham. He says, they are who I'm seeking because I lost them, or they jumped out of my hand, so to speak. Okay? That's why I gave that analogy first. I'm here to seek them. But you, okay, as you become more and more Yeshua-like, it won't match the old you. You can't put a patch on the old you. You need to bury the old you and be a new you, okay? He says, and no one puts new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the new wine shall burst the wineskins and run out, and the wineskins shall be ruined. Okay, because the new wine is much more effervescence, it's much more bubbly, there's a lot more stuff going on in there, right? Through the fermentation process and all that. So it's going to burst the skin. Well, guess what? What you're learning is very bubbly, and it's going to burst the skin if you're putting it in an old wineskin. And some of you explode and crash and go back to whatever because you just can't handle it. You can't handle it. You get all excited, you take in all of that good new wine, and then you're putting it in an old wineskin. And so it doesn't go well. Okay, something's got to give. He wanted you to bury the old person, the old you, for this reason. The old you cannot do this. I'm going to say that again. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't, but I want to be straightforward, right? I'm looking right at the camera for everybody. Okay? The old you cannot do this. Only the new you can do this. Because the old you is going to love the old wine. The old you wants to do the old thing. The old you does not want to do this. So that old you has to be buried. So you're trying to do kind of half and half, it doesn't work. You can't do it. It won't work. That old you cannot do this. Oh, it can play at it for a while, just like an old wineskin until it bursts. Because he just told you that sin was lawlessness. Not lawlessness meaning the secular version of it or whatever country you live in. No, the Torah version of it. The Yahweh version of it. So he just told you it's lawlessness, and then he said, but so that lawlessness would not abound, so there wouldn't be lawlessness, he was manifested so you'd know what to do and what not to do. So now we're talking about Torah being brought. Actually, when was he really manifested? Let there be light. That's when he was manifested. Genesis 1. Because it was tohu and bohu. There was chaos and confusion, empty and void. And so he was manifested to bring order, structure into all of this. How was he manifested to destroy the works? Well, let's see. The world was just doing every stupid thing they wanted to do, and it brought a flood. Then they started doing it all over again. Now, Yahweh said, I'm not going to flood the world again. But at some point, you all ended up in slavery, and all kinds of other dumb stuff is happening, and then I'm going to take you out of there, and I'm going to hand you the law. I passed it down through word of mouth, trained a few people, let them train other people. Didn't seem to go over. I'm going to take a whole bunch of you as you grew into a giant nation, and I'm going to give you a whole thing in writing. So nobody can claim they didn't understand this, that. I'm going to give you the whole thing. And what's the purpose? To destroy any adversarial relationship. Because covenant says, everything you say to do, I'll do. You can't do that in an adversarial relationship. So again, this is where they want to pit Messiah and the devil in like a cage match or something, okay? I mean, it's just not the picture we should have. And by the way, some people, they get online and they ask like in the zone meetings and stuff like that, well, how do we know somebody's qualified to be a rabbi, qualified for this or qualified for that? I said, well, first of all, if that person, you ask them, well, who trained you? Because maybe they were trained by someone who's anointed. An anointed appointed then trains the next anointed appointed. Anybody that I label, you know I labeled them. I vetted them. I have the confidence that they have that gift and talent and that anointing. Now, what if the person doesn't have a teacher, like me? Well, you know, at some point, there wasn't anybody to teach certain people. I mean, there has to be a starting point. So now what do? Are you just out of luck? No. You listen and you say, have I ever heard anybody talk like this? Has anybody ever made this complex stuff so simple? Even when I thought simple, even more simple. Straighten up all the confusions. Reset all of the things that were misaligned. Those are the kinds of things you're looking for. When they speak, do you hear a different authority? And the reason that you wouldn't sin is because his seed is staying in you. And when his seed stays in you, you are powerless to sin. However, you should understand that if you don't stay in him, then you're outside of all this. You've now breached and you can sin. Don't confuse this. Remember, this is the same John that gave you John 15, okay? Where he says, stay in me. But then he says, those who don't stay in me have a problem. Let's be careful with that because he wants you to know. I don't want you to think, oh, I'm born again, so I can't sin. Nonsense. If his seed stays in you, which means, what's his seed? The word, the Torah. If it's active in you, you don't sin. The power of sin loses its power. However, you can still choose to do those things by your choice. And whatever we ask, we receive from him because we guard his commands and do what is pleasing in his sight. So he's saying, we're guarding his commands, we're doing what's pleasing in his sight, so stop listening to that depressed voice in your head that says you're a loser and a piece of garbage and you've done all these horrible things, so you can't possibly be in there. Own this. Some of you, that's you. Let it go. Release that. Set that whole thing. Bury it. Okay? He said, you need to say, understand that whatever we ask, we receive from him because. Now, by the way, let me just rephrase that probably the way it reads. Whatever we ask, that we receive from him. Not whatever we ask, we receive whatever we ask. Because, you know, he's not your genie that you rub the bottle, does what you want. He says that whatever you ask and he gives it to you, the reason he's giving it to you is because you're guarding his commands and doing what's pleasing in his sight. Does that make more sense?